The night Umuoho began to die, the wind did not blow like it used to. It no longer carried the smell of palm wine, roasted corn, or the soft laughter of children running barefoot across the village square. No, that night, the wind came cold. It crawled through the village like a snake, hissing gently against walls, shaking raffia roofs, and making the wooden doors of huts tremble like frightened hearts. Even the dogs, those loud, stubborn village dogs that barked at anything that moved, kept silent. And when village dogs keep silent, it means danger has arrived. The elders will later say they should have known, they should have seen the signs, but who truly expects death to walk into a village like a visitor? The first person to fall was a strong man. His name was Okoro, a hunter who never feared the forest. A man who could wrestle a goat to the ground with bare hands and laugh as if nothing in this world could break him. That evening, he returned from the bush with a wild antelope tied to his back. The children cheered and followed him home. Women praised him, calling him a real man, calling him a blessing to the village. Before midnight, Okoro was dead. No sickness, no warning, no struggle. One moment he was alive, breathing, eating, smiling. The next moment, his eyes stared at nothing, frozen wide open, like he had seen something too terrible to understand. The village mourned him loudly, thinking it was a strange sickness. But then another person died, then another, then another. Every night, the village lost someone, and slowly, fear began to replace laughter. Even the air felt heavy with dread, as though the entire village was holding its breath. When the chief's son died, Umuoho panicked, not because he was the first to die, no, but because he was the chief's son, and if death could touch the chief's family, then nobody was safe. That same night, villagers gathered in the square with lanterns and torches, their faces tense and restless. Old women clutched their wrappers tightly. Men stood with their cutlasses, though they knew cutlasses could not fight what they could not see. The chief, Isnamdi, was sweating. His voice shook when he spoke. "This village has offended the gods," he declared. "We must find the cause." But the cause found them first. The fire in the village square suddenly bent sideways, as though a strange breath had blown over it. The torches began to flicker, the lanterns dimmed, then the ground itself seemed to grow colder. A dark figure stepped out of the shadows. He didn't walk loudly, his feet did not make sound, but each step made the air feel thinner, like life was being drained from it. He wore a long black robe that dragged across the earth like a shadow stretching too far. His face was hidden beneath a hood, yet everyone felt his eyes, burning, watching, waiting. A deep voice spoke, slow and certain, "Umuoho." The villagers froze, their hearts stopped beating for one terrible second. The figure lifted his head slightly as if enjoying their fear. "I have come for what belongs to me." Somebody screamed. A mother grabbed her child and ran. People scattered like frightened chickens. Even men with cutlasses ran, because no matter how brave a man is, when death appears, courage becomes a useless thing. But two people didn't run. They stood at the edge of the square, their faces lit by the fading firelight. They were twins, brother and sister, small in body, but sharp in mind. Their names were Obinna and Adis. Obinna was quiet, his eyes always calculating, like he was measuring the world in secret. Adis was bold, her mouth quicker than most people's thoughts, her confidence so stubborn it frightened adults. People called them troublesome, people called them stubborn, some even called them cursed children because they asked questions elders did not like, but the truth was simple. They were not cursed, they were clever, and that night, as death stood in the village square, Obinna swallowed hard and whispered to his sister, "Adis, that thing is death." Adis' eyes never left the dark figure. "So what?" she replied. Obinna stared at her in disbelief. "So what?" he repeated softly. "Adis, you can't talk to death like you talk to people." Adis' lips curved slightly, not in happiness, but in confidence. "If death can walk into Umuoho like a man," she said, "then he can be spoken to like a man." Obinna's stomach twisted. Death was still there, silent, as though waiting for someone foolish enough to challenge him. Adis took a step forward. The air grew colder. Obinna grabbed her wrist. "Adis." She pulled away gently. "Let him hear us." she said. Obina's fear battled his pride, then finally, he stepped forward with her. Together, side by side, the twins stood before Death, and for the first time since he arrived, Death moved his attention toward them, slowly, like a predator noticing smaller prey. You children. Death's voice rumbled, you are brave to stand before me. Adiz raised her chin. We are not here to beg, she said. We are here to talk. Death laughed, a dry sound, empty of joy. To talk. He echoed. No one talks to death. They beg. They cry. They die. Obina cleared his throat, forcing words out of a mouth that had suddenly gone dry. They say you are the smartest being in the world, Obina said carefully. That nobody can outwit you. Death's hood lifted just slightly. The village could feel it. That pride, that dangerous pride. Death loved to be feared, but he loved to be praised even more. Yes. Death said slowly. That is true. Adi smiled. Then prove it, she said. Let us play a game. The square went silent, even the wind seemed to pause. Death's laughter returned, louder this time. A game. He repeated. With you? Yes, Obina said. If you win, you take us. And you take whoever you want. Death leaned forward, his darkness pressing closer like smoke. And if I lose? Adi's smile widened. Then you leave our village, she said. For 7 days. Death paused. For a moment, the world held its breath. Then Death nodded. Very well, he said. Play your game. Obina brought out 3 calabashes from a woven bag. Each calabash looked the same shape, same size, same brown color. Adi spoke like a storyteller. Inside one calabash is a stone. Inside another is sand. Inside the last one. She paused dramatically, is nothing. Death's fingers curled around his staff, and Obina lifted his eyes. If you guess the empty calabash, he said, you win. Death's shadow shifted. This is too easy, Death said. I accept. Obina placed the calabashes on the ground. Adi spun them slowly, carefully, her hands moving like a dancer's. Then she stepped back. Choose, she said. Death pointed to the middle one. Obina opened it. Sand spilled out. Death's brows knitted beneath the hood. Again, he demanded. Adi spun the calabashes again. Death pointed again. Obina opened it. Stone. Whispers spread through the villagers who had gathered quietly behind huts to watch. Death's voice deepened. This is a trick. Adi tilted her head. Is Death afraid of a children's game? She teased. The insult cut deep. Death's pride flared. He pointed to the last calabash. Certain now, absolutely certain. Obina opened it. It was sand again. Death stiffened. Something like anger cracked the darkness around him. He stepped back slowly. The village could almost smell his rage. How? Death growled. Adis folded her arms. Maybe you are not as smart as they say, she said innocently. Death's staff slammed against the ground. The fire in the square went out. Darkness swallowed the village. And in that darkness, Death's voice came like thunder. 7 days, he hissed. Enjoy them. Then he vanished. 7 days of joy. For 7 days, nobody died, not one person. The village breathed again. Laughter returned. Cooking fires burned without fear. Children played in the open. Women danced as if the curse had broken. They praised the twins, calling them heroes. But as everyone celebrated, Adis remained quiet. Obina noticed. What is it? He asked. Adis stared into the distance. Death is not finished, she whispered. Death doesn't forget humiliation. Obina's heart sank. We beat him, he said, trying to believe his own words. Adis shook her head slowly. No. She replied. We only wounded his pride. 6. Death returns. On the 8th night, the moon rose red. The air returned colder than before, and the village knew, before they even saw him, Death had come back. This time, he did not speak kindly. This time, he did not entertain games. He walked into Umuho like a king walking into a palace he owned. His voice shook the walls. You embarrassed me, he said. Now, I will collect twice what I came for. Screams filled the village, people ran again, but the twins stood still. Obina's hands shook, Adi's eyes narrowed. Obina whispered, "What do we do now?" Adi's answered quietly, "We don't fight death's power. We fight his greed."